Good morning. We are here on our Monday morning, Sunday afternoon, this side of the world, and we are ready to rocking roll. What's going on, guys? How has your weekend been? We're going to be ripping into this podcast episode in a few minutes. So, you guys know the story. Get down into that comment section. Let me know that you're here. And we're going to be starting this in a few minutes, guys. This podcast is going to be big, I reckon. So I've got that familiar, this familiar nervous heartbeat actually at the moment. And this happens sometimes when I feel like I'm going to deliver a podcast which just might change a couple of lives. And yeah, that's the goal. So if you come into this one, let us know you're here. I want to see who's partaking. Jesus Christ, I hope a lot of people listen to this episode. You can probably tell I'm a little bit nervous, but I am super psyched and ready to rock and roll. So, guys, we're starting in a minute and a half. Let's see who we got in here. Tezza, good morning. Nearly always the first one in, brother. Rebecca Hewitt, how are you, hun? Lovely to have your company in here. Lozzie's in here as well. Good morning, Sean. I hope you're good. Friendy, what's going on, my bro? Kel's in here. Good morning, Kel, to you and your main man. Good morning, Jace. I don't know who that is, so go and click that restream link above. Good evening. Same thing. Click that restream link above. Hello, Kate. Just listened to episode 11. Fantastic. Great, Katie. Hey, listen as well, Kate. Can you send me a message after this episode? Because I'd be interested in your take on this. There's going to be a bit of savagery, so please let me know what you think. Good morning, Benny. How are you, mate? Guys, we're starting in 1 minute. Hello, Shawnee boy. Morning, coach. Morning. Beautiful day here this morning in Tamworth. Well, half your luck. How good is that? Morning, everyone. Morning, Cara. Guys, we're starting in 30 seconds. Evening, Stevie. I hope you're getting some weather out there, mate. Good morning, Katie, or evening rather. Morning, Jace. Look at all these crew coming in. This is so good. Hey, Ames. Hey, Xanth. What's going on, guys? All right, let me sip away, and then we are going to kick this thing off. All right, let's do it. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets, unsustainable workout programs, coming to you on an Australian Monday morning, Sunday for the rest of the world. This is episode 260. Now, if you're listening to the episode and you have not yet given the podcast a rating, please, guys, it would mean the world to me. It helps me to spread the word. Best places to do it are either on Spotify or even better on Apple Podcasts. It's the only way it gets discovered, apart from me obviously sharing it. And if you think there's some value in this, maybe go to my profile and tag your mates in it. Hope everyone had an amazing weekend. Plenty of good food and no restrictive dieting, I hope. So let me discuss the premise for this episode. Okay, so I've kind of built it up a little bit, haven't I? I usually take Saturdays to work on my podcast. So it's Sunday for me here. That was yesterday. So it's ready for a Monday morning Australian time. But this week, my wife was working all weekend and our nanny cancelled. And so I didn't have time to prepare. So I basically did the coolest thing ever, which was I went and harvested our own tree, so to speak. I've never, ever done that in my life. Got a real Christmas tree. And we bought our first ever real one and decorated, and it was amazing. And I had a really great day of like hours to hours, like morning to afternoon, evening, putting the kids down, and it was so good. But with a lack of preparation, I asked myself the question, what would be a value-packed episode that won't take me hours to write, where I can just shoot straight from the hip, basically because I know the topic. And I've told you guys what the topic is, and that you should come in with this. And already, this is probably the most attended podcast. There's 35 people watching on live. So this is great. Now, this tells me something straight away. You guys want to hear brutal truths. So this is great. I had a million ideas come to me when I said, how can I just do little preparation, but give a whole lot of value? And the answer was this: give your clients, give your listeners something that a lot of them really need to hear, and which maybe you've held back from saying. Okay? A few weeks ago, one of my personal coaches hit me with the following statement. In order to be kind, you need to be honest. In order to be kind, you need to be honest. He said, if in your coaching you hold back from the truth because you're too worried about creating offense, then that might seem kind at the start, but you're actually being unkind. How does not telling the truth actually benefit your client? And in most cases, it obviously doesn't. The entire reason any person is not where they want to be, myself included, is that we just haven't yet developed the mindset and the skill set to get to the next level. Would you agree? So whatever that next level is for you, whatever the game that you're playing is for you, whether it be bettering your body, your mindset, your career, lifting your relationship, whatever, if you're just not where you want to be yet, it's because you haven't got the skill set and the mindset to do it yet. But if, as a coach, I keep biting my tongue on what I think needs to be said so I don't trigger people, then I'm in fact doing you a disservice. One of the phrases that I've learnt this year is if you walk past it, you accept it, and therefore you enable it. Any person that has been in a relationship where their partner enables their behavior knows exactly the struggle that I'm talking about. Instead of helping you to stay on track, they contribute to your continued struggle. You resent that they enable you, but you also resent if they tell you the truth, because that truth can sting a little bit, right? So I'm going to go with the logic that I assume some of you might resent me for this episode because it's not what you want to hear right now. Maybe the day has been a tough start or you're going through some rough shit right now. I'm going to assume that you also want better results than you're currently getting at whatever level that is. So you'd resent me if you knew that I was holding back on something that could potentially help you move forward. So in either case, there's going to be a possible level of resentment and pushback, but it better the one that could actually help you move forward. So that's the premise of the exercise. There will be a bunch of listeners that will listen to this and say, thank you, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Different people are responsive to different coaching deliveries. For people that like to be told exactly how it is, people like my boy Steve Bebbington Smith, I think you're watching, Steve, you just like it straight, right? Other people prefer and need some encouragement. And please understand that this comes from a place of kindness because I actually care so much. Please understand that to know these truths, you need to have some first-hand experience in them in your own life. So I've been through a lot of these things, and for a lot of them come out the other side, and now it's on my list, and so I can talk about it. So guys, these are the 20 brutal truths I want to tell you as a coach as an act of kindness. So what I want to ask is, after that pre-frame, are we ready to go, guys? Please let me know in the comments that we're ready to go and that you want to hear some truths and you want to help get a little bit unstuck and you want to move forward and you're listening in and you're willing to perhaps think, yep, all right, I need this and I'm going to take it in the right way. And if you are, let's go. All right, number 1, you are fat. Call it what it is. You're not big boned or bloated. It's body fat. Body fat stores when you take in more calories than you expend. And humans have an unlimited ability to store more fat. This body fat is killing you. It's the single greatest reason for developing diabetes, having a heart attack or stroke. I'm not sure that there is any condition where being higher body fat is protective, except maybe falling over. I don't think. I hear of men dying at 40 and 50 years age, men and women dying at that time. That's half a life that you are robbing yourself of. Like half a life. And if you're a bloke and you're wondering why your belly is so big but it's not floppy, that's extremely bad. Because actually what's happening there is that is the dangerous, deep, visceral fat that lies under your abdominal walls that's pushing the muscle out and squeezing the organs. So on the surface, it feels not jiggly, but underneath it's really hard, and that's the most dangerous type of fat. This is bad. So if you are overweight, start by accepting that it's not air, it's not bloating, it's not bones. Then we can do something about it. That's it. This is not a criticism. This is just a identification of what it is. Number 2, most people don't want to be fat, but they don't know the way out of it. We describe our fat affectionately as jiggly, but most of us don't want lots of it. I do not believe there is any place in the world at all for fat shaming. Like with racism, I just get people straight out of my environment as soon as they start to talk about racist stuff in a really vindictive way. Attacking a person's internal character based on their external experience is like the lowest level of insult. And it usually comes from really unintelligent, naive people. Excessive fat is a health problem, okay? And it is accumulated because a person either lacks the knowledge on how to actually get rid of it or has naturally, like most people, struggled to balance their emotions with their life circumstances. So if you want to get rid of it, that's what you need to work on. Balancing your emotions. This is by far and away the biggest thing. Following a simple plan and learning to override these habits is going to take time. Number 3, no one is coming to save you. You can procrastinate all you want, but the only person that's coming to save you is you. Look, the circumstances that we're born into are good and bad. They're luck of the draw. And this coming from a so-called middle-class privileged white guy. These circumstances definitely shape your life, like 100%. But blaming the circumstances, even though they may be horrific, it doesn't actually help you move forward. It keeps the power in the circumstance. The most empowering mindset that I am trying to develop in my own life is that I'm responsible for everything, even though it might not be my fault. When you do this, you get into the driver's seat and you're no longer on this shitty bus ride that might end up anywhere. It's not your partners, your coaches, your mums and dads, your kids' responsibility to save you. They are too busy sorting out their own shit to burden them with yours. You got to save you. Number 4, your excuses are tired and boring. The old, ever-present I've got no time excuse, this is literally, if I'm just really honest, this is the most boring excuse on earth. You say that as if what you're saying is something special. There is not a person on earth that's ambitious and therefore has an excess of time. There's none. You don't have a time issue. You have a priorities issue. You have 24 hours in the day, and it's how you use them. Are your circumstances harder than another person's? Quite possibly, yes. As an example, if you're a working single parent, that's a really hard job. And I know that because that's what I felt like for the last week as my partner's been away. Do you know any single working parents that make it work? Yes, you do. The best thing you could possibly do is called a time in motion study. I did one of these about 10 years ago, and it's the most horribly boring thing that I've ever done. But what you do is you write down every single thing you do in a day for 7 days, and you include absolutely everything, and you write it down, and you work out where your time goes. It's incredibly revealing. You will claw back at least 2 hours a day and identify where you are wasting your time procrastinating or distracting yourself on lower priority items than your health. I know this because I do this and I catch myself doing it. Moving the chess pieces around, being busy, when actually there's this glaring problem in my business or my life that I need to fix. I do it, you do it. It's not a time problem, it's a prioritization problem. Number 5. If a person exists in a similar situation to you and they can do it, you just need to understand how they're doing it. This has always been my fallback in any circumstance. If he can do it, I can do it. In fact, I had a gentleman signed over the weekend that saw the photo of Brooke and Kelly North. Congratulations to Brooke and Kelly North. I know that Kel's watching. He just simply sent me a message and said, Jace, Sign me up. If Brooke can do it, I can do it. That is epic. I'm in a position right now where I'm trying to scale our mission. I'm in the grind right now personally. This keeps me focused. What keeps me focused is looking at others who are the same age or younger as me, as intelligent or less intelligent as me, and with kids like me. And I remind myself that if they can do it, I can do it. If Brooke can do it, I can do it. If Xanth can do it, I can do it. If Nick can do it, I can do it. This is the 4-minute mile mindset. It took decades for a man to run 4 minutes in a mile in under 4 minutes. Until Roger Bannister did it in 1954, and since then, thousands of people have done it. You just need to identify a model that you can copy, and what that does is destroys all your excuses and puts the ball right in your court. Right, number 6. You just don't want it enough because you're not in enough pain yet. You might say you want to lose weight, but you want it less than working for losing the weight. You're just not in enough pain yet because in your mind, the repercussions are off in the future. The pain of diabetes seems 20 years away until your doctor tells you that you've just got it. The pain of not fitting in your clothing sucks until you have to go to your daughter's wedding and nothing fits anymore. And that's when we change. The only way you can ever change is if the pain becomes so overwhelming that it shifts you into taking action. Imagine taking $100 banknotes, cash notes, from your bank account, one by one, and scrunching them up and throwing them in a bin. So you took out, let's say, $1,000 out of your bank account, and just one by one, you scrunched them up and just threw them in the bin. Now let those $100 notes be an analogy for years of living at your highest level. Are you going to just keep scrunching the $100 notes up the years of your life and throwing them in the bin? Number 7, you need to stop deluding yourself that you'll start tomorrow. Start now, this minute, this morning, after this podcast. Do you know that millions of people, guys, have already written off December so that they can start fresh in January? Is that not crazy that we're writing off 8% of the year? Is that worth throwing out? You get 4,000 weeks approximately of life. Are you going to throw away 4 of them to start in January? Do you think you'd be in a better spot if you've got momentum going into 2024 than starting from a dead stop at the start of 2024? Tomorrow is just a procrastination technique to relieve yourself of the stress you feel, the fear you feel about taking action. We all do it. Now is the only time that you can do the work. Now. The goal should be, I need to find a way to make this work, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, when I'm busy. So you have an all-weather system, not just a system that works when it's sunny outside. I only exercise when it's sunny. That's conditional. It doesn't work long term. Number 8, stop being so lazy. To get a life you want, you are going to have to work your absolute ass off. Rife in our culture is this idea that we can just hack our way to anything we want with shortcuts. And I must admit, I get caught up in this sometimes. It's hard when you're surrounded with messages about get these crazy results in this little time. There are always more efficient ways of doing things. The strategy is important. But in my experience personally, and I'd love commentary from you guys, I don't think there's a single thing that you can get without hard work. Anything of value. There's just nothing without hard work. Even something as, spiritual as happiness, you can't get that without hard work. And any attempt to circumvent the hard work never works. Now, I'll give you an example. Having weight loss surgery. Now, I'm not criticizing this. I'm saying this could be seen from some people as a shortcut. Okay? But even if it reduces your weight quickly, the hard work then comes after the surgery. You've got to deal with the surgery side effects, most of which you were not advised of beforehand. like your metabolism absolutely tanking. There's the ongoing management of your poor relationship with food. And so even though it seems like a shortcut, there's still the hard work to do. So you've got two choices. You can either work hard for what you want now, or work hard for what you don't want in the future. A funny thing happens when you start to embrace the hard work. You actually start to enjoy it, and it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. I see it in so many of our clients. Number 9, you only do what you feel like doing, and what you feel like doing is eating pizza, like me. There seems to be this like spiritual hippie movement that says, carpe diem, just do what you feel like, be free. Don't go to the gym if you're not a gym person. Don't reduce your calories if you really enjoy eating. I couldn't disagree with that anymore, because doing what you feel like doing and doing what you need to do are usually the complete opposites. And there's a reason for that. The brain wants to keep you alive. That's what it's geared to do. So it makes you feel like eating more, staying still, not doing things that threaten your survival. That's what you feel like doing naturally. That's what I feel like doing naturally. But if you want success in weight management or life generally, you've got to do the opposite. You've got to reduce your calories. You've got to move more. You've got to get uncomfortable. Why would your brain and body adapt if you're doing nothing to challenge it? Number 10 is something that is the real challenge in the coaching space, is that you just see people that just quit so quickly. Like so quickly. I mean, literally at the first bit of friction, and I could borderline go on a massive rant about this, but if it means that much to you and you give up at the first hurdle, like, come on. The word transform means change, is change your form. Like, when you started any transformation program, did you think there was like this magic wand that you just go bang and you'd be at your best image overnight? Ask yourself the question right now. Has my history of quitting on myself contributed to where I am in life right now? Am I a quitter? Stop being a quitter. You can change that now. It's likely that you quitting on your fitness journey is a reflection of how you do things in life. It's okay to feel down some days and feel like quitting, venting to your coaches, be on the borderline of quitting. I get there all the time. Why the fuck am I doing this anymore? People don't listen, or all those rhetorics that we have. But actually quitting, that's not acceptable unless you're willing to accept your life as it is now. If you're willing to accept your life as it is now, then quit, that's fine. The alternative view is that you're going to be working on yourself for the rest of your life, because this is infinite and you're going to have these bumps along the way, and that's fine. That's completely fine. But I don't quit. I don't give up. I don't stop. I understand that that's part of the course. Number 11, big one. Your mouth is a gutter for rubbish talk. This is going to hit a few people, I think. What you say is a printout of how you think. I'd like to get you to reflect on your morning or your day so far and pay attention to the things that you say out loud and in your head. If you were listening to someone else say what you say, would you walk away? Anyone that wants to listen to you, you'll tell them about your problems, how much of a victim you are. This has two consequences, guys. You tell them about your problems, so you propagate the negativity like a cancer, and then you endorse a story internally that you've created, which further embeds the story in your own mind. Literally, stop saying negative shit out loud. Stop it. Stop saying it. Stop saying it. Let me tell you why. There's some research that has come out of Harvard that says the following. A person that says something out loud makes it 10 times more powerful than if they just think it. A person that says something out loud makes it 10 times more powerful than they just think it. Additionally, what they found is that negativity has 4 to 7 times more power as a thought than positivity. Just look at the news. Negative headlines capture people. So if you put those two numbers together and with some basic maths, this means if you say something out loud, that's negative. It's between 40 to 70 times more likely to happen than if you just think it. You don't say anything about it. This is why I really just try to shut my mouth about negative stuff. It slips sometimes, but I try to just shut my mouth about it because I don't want to bring this into my life. I've noticed myself recently, and I caught myself this morning saying, one of my clients asked me how I was, and I said, oh, mate, it's cold in Canada. Then I asked myself this morning, what am I looking for in saying that? What am I looking for? An endorsement that it's cold? Yeah, it must be cold. Or some sympathy that it's cold? There's zero benefit. Just shut the fuck up. It doesn't benefit at all flopping that negativity. Now, I do want to say that there is a very big difference between negative flapper and proactively asking for help around negative thoughts or situations that you're having in your life. That's very different. Okay? I have this situation I'm trying to deal with. Who's got some advice on how I can go about that? That's very different to word vomit. And you guys know what I mean here. Number 12, you're continuously reinforcing a story or a label about who you are. This goes hand in hand with the last point. It's something that I constantly see. Constantly telling yourself a repeating story from the past that's predictive of the future. So let me give you some examples on some stories that people tell themselves. Oh man, I'm just going through a slow patch at the moment. Work, life, rah, 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 rah. How constantly does that story repeat in your life? Does it benefit you telling the story? If you just keep telling the story, actually the reason you're telling the story is so that you have an excuse not to do anything about it. That's the reason. You're buffering your inaction. Or what about something like the label, I have ADHD, so I am what I am. Some of the most successful people that I know, in fact, my first coach, the one that essentially helped me change my life, he has crazy ADHD. And he uses it as his superpower. He gets incredible amounts of work done. My most hated story is I'm an alcoholic. No, you've got a bad relationship with alcohol, but if you keep labeling yourself as an alcoholic, well, what does an alcoholic do? Drinks alcohol. So you're in this constant fight to break away from the label. How do you ever break free from that? You remain trapped by the label. So what you've got to do is when you find yourself telling yourself a story about failing or about who you are or what you suffer from, just stop and just say, this is what I do. I say, Jace, this is a ridiculous story. This is a ridiculous story. You're awesome. I just stop. Stop. Just as soon as you note the story, stop. Number 13, you're too scared to ask for help. And so instead, you hide and pretend that you don't care. As I've got older, there's something I can give you that's very simple and practical that I've seen in my own life. It's just this. It's the people that keep showing up that win. Literally, 80% of the battle is just showing up. It takes zero skill. It just takes a willingness to show up. A conditional man, I was thinking I'm going to create some really new good merch in part of our next runs. A conditional man, I want to have this merch piece that's I'm an unconditional man, or I'm an unconditional woman. What that means is that conditional people show up when it's sunny. Maybe they've had a good week, and so they feel good, and then they show up. But then they go missing when it's difficult. This is like riding an emotional roller coaster. You're too heavily invested in the highs and the lows. An unconditional man shows up regardless of how they feel. An unconditional woman understands that the process is very unsexy and boring, that just showing up and being there is the way to succeed. How can you show up in your life? You turn up when you're tired. You embrace the idea of just one more day. How can you show up in Better Body Academy? You turn up to the coaching calls. You document on the Facebook group. You ask more questions than anyone else. It's always the people that ask the most amount of questions that win. Best examples, Sean Juris, Nick Friend, Terry Holden. These guys have always asked the most amount of questions, and look at them. Number 14, you need to be patient. Stop being a spoiled brat. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting it all now. Nothing wrong with that. I'm the exact same. That's a sign of ambition. But there's a difference between ambition and reality. My ambition is to create an academy that impacts millions of humans. My reality is that I need to learn the skill sets and the mindsets to be able to scale my work. And if I can't do it by the end of the year, that doesn't mean that I should quit. You might have 20 kilos to lose. You might want to run a marathon. You might want to squat 50 kilos, whatever it is for you. These are all great ambitions. But if you've lived a certain way for a period of your life, you can't just do a U-turn in one moment and expect it to be back where it was 20 years ago. If your kid wanted to play football for Manchester United, think about how you would coach that as a goal as a parent. What expectations you'd have in moving him or her towards that. It's simply not an overnight thing. Down to the last 5, guys. Number 15. If you want to, you're looking for a short-term result, not a lifestyle. This follows perfectly off the previous point. If you're approaching your weight management with an infinite, I'm doing this forever, this is my new lifestyle perspective, you'll be open to long-term solutions. The vast majority of people in our academy have been battling weight for a long period of time. What most people are chasing is weight loss now, so they relieve the shittiness to get out of the pain that they feel. The problem is most people lose weight and then they put it back on again. Everyone knows that, but we still are so caught in the short term. If in the process of chasing weight loss, you starve yourself, do endless cardio, fail to educate yourself, and don't shift your mindset, you end up always playing this yo-yo game. Are you not sick of that? Come on, are you not sick of that? Can we really just level with each other, guys, and say, I'm fucking sick of this yo-yo game. I want to change my lifestyle. There are short-term consequences for a long-term game here. Learning to fuel your body, lifting weights to improve your metabolism, educating yourself, leveling up your mindset. That's lifestyle change. That's not quick fix fat loss. Number 16. This is going to hit a lot of people. The way you measure your progress absolutely sucks. Let me show you why. Let's pretend I was doing research into what makes a quality marriage, and I'm guessing that 2/3 of the people here are in relationships. And let's say I asked you the question, and ladies, listen up, because this analogy is, I think, the best one I've ever come up with to explain this concept. If I was to ask you right now, I'm trying to come up with an assessment of how good your marriage is. How many times did you have sex last week? And the only answer that you're allowed to give me is a number, no further information. And that's how I'm going to judge your progress on your relationship. How many times did you have sex last week? You might give me a 10. You might give me a 0. You know, might have been really horny. You might have been... The number is contextual. The number of times you had sex could be a small indication of how your relationship's going, but it also could be very, very misleading. From a quantity perspective, your partner might have been away on work. Perhaps last week or next week was a lot. Perhaps not this week. Or maybe that sex frequency isn't actually a great indicator of the quality of a relationship. True, it might give some information about our connection, maybe, but there could be a million other quality indicators for that relationship that are not encapsulated by how many times did you have sex last week. And so for most of you, you would agree with that, yet you still jump on the scales this weekend and define the quality of your life and how you are doing by the number that you see. It's exactly the same thing. From a quantity perspective, maybe you lost weight 3 weeks consecutively, but just not this week. Maybe your weight's not moving because you've gained muscle. Maybe, and this applies to a lot of people, your metabolism has been so horribly drained out from years of dieting that you should really be absolutely stoked that you're consistent with your calorie intake for a few weeks. Or what about the fact that you've managed to overcome your intimidation in the gym and now you're training 2 or 3 times a week? I could give you any number of non-scale positive victories and you still won't look at them. You're still so infatuated with the weight. It's like me judging your relationship on the frequency of sex last week. It's crazy. If you look out your window and you can't see the grass growing, does that mean it's not growing? Like, please, for the love of God, look at something other than your scale weight and throw the scales in the bin if you can't do that. Number 17, your why is, oh, because I want to lose weight. I mean, seriously, is that it? Can we not scratch the surface a little bit deeper? Imagine you decided to start in Better Body Academy and on day one you fractured your leg. This is exactly what happened to Jess Shelton this year. If you're only starting a goal to lose weight, how likely are you going to be to continue when you break your leg? Choosing, a lesser negative is why you lose weight. It's pissing down outside. How motivated are you going to be to go outside and lose weight? Zero. Let me give you an insight into why my health is everything to me. It allows me to have great experiences because I can do more things. It gives me energy and allows me to be up with my kids. It makes me strong as a man. I don't feel like a pussy. It makes me a sexual being. I have a libido. It helps me to dissipate negative energy that's building up inside me. It steels my mind so I have resilience in life. It helps me to create self-belief so I can transfer that to other things like running this podcast. And it makes me feel proud when I look in the mirror. I want you to spend some time today as an action point, guys, asking yourself, oh shit, you're right. Why do I want to lose weight? Like, why? Because if that sinks in, if you really understand why you want to lose weight, then you might be more likely to follow through when things get hard. If your why is, because I hate myself, like, that's just never going to work. Number 18, you need to fix your own mask first. This follows on perfectly. Again, nearly every person that feels stuck shows the common trait that they prioritize everyone in their own life before them. There's a reason that the airlines tell them to fit your own mask first, because you're useless to your kid if you die. Serving everyone else is a zero-sum game. It's obviously why it's bad for you. Like, obviously that's bad for you, but why is it bad for them? If you're the sort of person that is so selfless that you put everyone else first, then you're probably just happy to put everyone else first. But why is it bad for the other people? Because you're demonstrating to them that life is about constant sacrifice in order to get ahead. It's showing them that you have to choose between being healthy and helping people. Do you think that that's actually true? Parents say things like, I'll do anything for my kids, but that's a lie. You'll do anything to focus on them so you can distract yourself from how you feel. Unless you actually teach your kids how to be healthy, there's going to be a fragmentation between what you're saying and what you're modeling. It blows my mind that families are so willing to pass on intergenerational poor health, yet they'll work themselves into the ground to make money to create some inheritance, thinking that that's going to set their kids free. It's crazy. We've got two more, guys. Number 19, you still haven't cultivated what you consume. From the moment you wake up, it's like a game of dominoes. You open your phone, you consume a bunch of junk, you then turn the news on, consume a bunch of junk, you go to work and listen to people talk about a bunch of junk and wonder why nothing's changing. People take the you are what you eat thing literally. If you want to break free from the negativity, you have to be willing to push away the negative in your life. The people and the media sources, the constant source of negativity. It's as simple as that. And here's a quick point. There's a difference between negativity and honest discussion like this. This episode is not negative. It's straight up honest. And if you apply some of the things in here, I've got a good feeling your life will shift. Which brings us to our last one, and that is a lot of people, you might be different. A lot of people just only value money, but not time. I've left this one to last because it's the one that I struggled with the most. This is particularly delicate because it's hard to break this from sounding like a sales pitch. The very one reason I stayed stuck for so long was because I was trying to figure it all out myself. It's actually quite ridiculous in hindsight. Am I the first person that's ever created a fitness business? No, me and 7 million other guys. Are you the only person that's tried to lose weight? No, you and 100 million other guys and girls. The problem was I valued my money far more than I did time until I realized the cost of what wasting time amounted to. Stupid amounts of money, stupid amounts of unhappiness, and a hell of a lot of shit feelings. I struggled with these dumb strategies trying to sell ebooks and courses, and it wasn't until I hit rock bottom and took a large chunk of my savings and put them into being a coach, my life changed substantially in 6 months. I made the investment back in no time, created my dream, but it was only when I realized that I can't afford to waste any more time that I put value on that time. Nearly everyone in Better Body Academy, if you're listening to this and you're starting to move through the process, you have the same story. I sat on the fence forever, downloading free PDFs, searching YouTube and Google, until I actually realized that I can't waste any more time and I need to just get started and be told what to do. And then I got results. Kaylee Church, Terry Holden, Trent Cooper, Xanth Friend, Christy Keenan, nearly every single person, the list is endless. It's the same story. So guys, what I started out to be a podcast that would take me a few minutes to prepare ended up taking me about 6 hours. Again, there's a lesson in that anything valuable takes time, focus, and hard work. These are the first 20 things that come to my mind, but I think there's probably another 100. I might actually put this into a book, I think, at some stage and try to encapsulate the teachings. But for now, hopefully you've taken 1 or 2 pieces of actionable advice out of there. Hopefully it hits in the right way, delivered with kindness and not an attack. This has been the Better Body Academy podcast. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Okay, team. Yeah. You can probably see why this is difficult to talk about. There's still 30 people watching live and the episode's gone for 45 minutes, which is a long time to retain people, which means that this stuff hits and people want to hear the truth. Is that accurate? Is that fair, guys? So I'm not sure. Firstly, if you have any comments or feedback about which one of those really hit for you? Like, which one of those really hit for you? Which one's the one that you're like, that's the fucking truth. That's the truth. That's 100% the truth. I'd really love to know. If there was 20 there and you're probably going to need to listen to a couple of times. In fact, what I might do is put this into a summary document just to kind of let you review it and let you encapsulate it. I think the challenge can be, we say throw money at the problem, but often that's for a quick win. However, we should apply that to long-term stuff too. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's not always throw money at the problem. I agree totally with that. Wow, I'm definitely listening to this excellent podcast. Lots of takeaways. Good stuff. Number 7. All right, so let's go back to that, Benny. I'm guessing you might be doodling. Number 7. You need to stop deluding yourself that you'll start tomorrow. Start this minute. Okay, so is that the one, Benny? That's interesting coming from you, because, Benny, there's this line between endorsing a story and actually remembering what you're doing. Benny, I would say that you've made more progress this year in 2023 than any other year. I don't know that to be true, but that's my guess. So I hardly think that you are taking your time and procrastinating, brother. So I'm surprised that that's the one you'd say. I think that you're doubling down. You're just busy. And because you're rising to higher levels, you're trying to navigate bigger challenges. That's not a negative, mate. Amy says negative talk. This is a big one. Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'll give you the video so that you can hear this. Hopefully the sound travels. So I'll just screen share for you guys. Amy, this is for you. And I think that's the absolute truth. Like, that is the absolute truth. We've got to be careful of what we're releasing past our gums because we endorse a story. I was waiting for the real doozy. I think that all makes sense. Nice one. Negative action. Scratch the surface of your why is the main one. Yeah. Look, this is great. This is great because we have to think about it like that, isn't it? It's like, what are you training for? To lose weight. I do not, like, I just think about why I go to the gym. Like, why do I go to the gym automatically? It's because of the things that I told you in that podcast. I don't want those feelings and traits to disappear from my life. Like, that's the real reason. It's not for my fucking kids. Like, my kids benefit from those things, but I'm not going to the gym for my kids. It's part of the story, but it's not for my kids. Like, really scratch the surface on this. Like, ask yourself the question, what would it mean for me to be at my goal weight? What would it mean for me to develop my strength? How would it, like, what will that give me? Like, really think about that. Love it that you're fat. My brother has that exact belly you described. Hopefully he listens when I send it to him. I mean, that's not me to say it like that, Jules, but it's not negative. It's not a criticism. It's we have to understand that this stuff, like, think about it, right? That's a pound of fat. That's about 2.5 kilos of fat. And it's strangling us. Like, it's not like, forget the aesthetic component to it. It's strangling us. And then we get these people that are like, oh, we should embrace it. We shouldn't fucking embrace it. Like, we should accept that there's no shaming to it. That's what we should do. We should take away any shaming, but we shouldn't pretend that it's a healthy thing. It's not fucking healthy. Identify who you are and what you stand for. I'm not the product of my past and the product of my future. Yeah, big time. Joe, yeah, this comment that you made the other day, which I commented on, that, like, having Christmas is amazing. Like, no one is saying that we should like write it off. I think the big thing is that, no one's saying that we should just not enjoy Christmas. Like, I'm having a drink, I'm eating some, good food, but what we don't want to do is just, like, chop the year here and slowly just, like, and then we get to the 10th of January and we're like, all right, let's go. Oh, fuck, I'm so demotivated. I can't get going again. That's why. It's because you know what it feels like to be in momentum. And then therefore, when you're not in momentum, you're like, holy shit, this is hard to get started. So just don't get out of momentum. That's the point. And I will say this, Joe, as well. It's impossible to think that you can operate at 100% all the time. Like, particularly in your circumstance, like, of all people, particularly in your circumstance. So what you said, I think there's context to what you said, but at least from a mindset perspective, right? Yes, you can't write off the year. You can use the year to proactively reclaim some bandwidth, do some goal setting, ask yourself around, like, what do I want to achieve? What's my why? That's not writing off the year. That's just dialing it back a bit, moderating the pace, as Mike says, conserving or preserving your energy, managing your energy. I think that's a good thing, Joe. Best podcast ever, realized my why, and it's not what I thought it was. That's excellent. For me, the number of times you have sex versus number of scales, that's crazy, hey? Like, I didn't even think about that. But imagine just someone said to you, there's a link there between intimacy and relationship quality. Same as there is a link between the scale weight and your health and progress. There's a link, of course. But it's not the thing and the exclusive only thing. That's the problem. Not sure which it was, but really stuck for me right now is I want to feel proud and look at the mirror. Yeah, and it's sorry, there's no sound in the video. Okay, my apologies, guys. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure why that was. I'd have to carry it through. Okay, so I'm not sure which it was, but really stuck with me. Yeah, I want to feel proud. And Katie, it's a weird thing, right? Because, I'm proud for you. Like, I'm proud of you being in there and not quitting on yourself and still turning up and being a leader and I'm proud for you, but you've got to work out in your mind, and this is a great question to come off the why thing. It's like, what would to be proud make me feel? And what could I do that would make me proud? And we don't have to like go straight to the top of the mountain. Like, for example, if I could do 50 chin-ups, that'd make me proud. If I can do 2 chin-ups assisted by the end of the week, like I know you're working towards, moving towards that, that's given me a sense of pride, and this pride is building. Like, it's not binary. It's not like I'm not proud or I'm proud. It's how proud, how is my self-belief starting to be reinforced? It's not just either one or the other. I'll share the link. No problems at all. I'll share it. It's funny. I was listening to this outside with my husband and her 7-year-old daughter, and they were raising their eyebrows. Yeah. About 1,000 weeks left to keep showing up for myself. Yeah. Wow, Nikki. Fucking hell. That hits, bro. Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Hopefully there was some value in that. Like I said, if you're still around and you haven't reviewed the podcast, it'll literally take 2 minutes. All you do is go onto Apple or Spotify. You go to the bottom. It says review and rate and leave a comment, and it puts that up in the algorithm so people can discover the podcast. I'm going to love you and leave you there, guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. All the best. Big love, and we'll chat soon.